for him to do what he wanted to do, whatever that was, whether it was just not do the show or do something else, and God knows he had poured his whole life into it. And I honestly don't know, and I wouldn't even ask him how much. I know what he would say. I would ask him, how much of the show did you really want to do? And he would probably say the pilot. But I'm sure he's glad that he went past that.
Jerry is the one who made the announcement that Larry wouldn't be coming back, and that I think it was at that same time he said that we would be coming back.
I was very concerned about not having Larry there.
I knew we were losing a great writer, a visionary.
I was concerned about what would happen to the show in general. What would certainly happen to George in specific. Larry was George, George was Larry, and without him there to guide the George stories and the George reactions, I anticipated that it wouldn't be quite the same character, and I think it wasn't quite the same character.
But I had all the faith in Jerry. I knew that Jerry would not continue that show if he didn't think we could make it happen.
I have such funny feelings about it because as much as I felt kind of hurt and upset, because I loved working with him and felt that we had this great chemistry that was so magical, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
I was surprised that Jerry had decided to go on, but I felt also like everybody had a personal issue that they had to work out.
What's the divorce rate now? 60%?
50 or 60.
Okay, that's if you're married. So what? What's the failure rate be for just a relationship?
99.9%?
Yeah, that would mean you'd have to date roughly 1,000 people to meet someone you're going to stay with.
Well, it's all very encouraging.
Something's up. There's something in the air.
What's with you?
I think this is it.
What's it?
I saw Sienna again.
Sienna?
Yeah, he's dating a crayon.
Discuss toilet paper.
Toilet paper?
Yeah.
Right, and joining us now is our own Roger Stone. And we want to talk to Roger about this phony lawsuit, but also about the JFK assassination documents. There's some new updates on that. Tell us what's going on with that, Roger.
Well, in accordance with the 1994 JFK assassination record.
You found it. It's the real news. Your host, David Knight.
All right, let's talk about the French kiss, or the French connection, if you want. We had President Trump praised Emmanuel Macron, talking about the things that link our two great countries together. Here's that clip, video 2.
Welcome to the White House. We are thrilled to host you and Brigitte here in America. The long friendship between the United States and France began 241 years ago this month. The wonderful friendship we have developed over the last year is a testament to the enduring friendship that binds our two nations. Our two great republics are linked together by the timeless bonds of history, culture, and destiny. Now is the time for strength. So let us be strong. Let us be united. Let us honor our past and face our future with confidence and with pride. And let the United States and France stand forever in solidarity for the noble cause of liberty and peace.
All right, so friendship, smiles, handshakes, kisses even. A little bit of brushing of the dandruff off of the collar. We're showing clips of that. But, and I don't wish any ill to the French people. As a matter of fact, I wish them only the best. I hope that they can get rid of Emmanuel Macron. And we need to understand that France, even though it helped us to gain our independence and stood with us, and that was before the French Revolution. Things kind of went south with the French Revolution. France has become, prior to the communist revolutions and the Russian Revolution, they were the face of authoritarian socialism, the French terror that happened. And part of it was this, the slogans, brotherhood, liberty, equality, fraternité, liberté, equalité. You cannot have individual liberty if your goal is to have equality of results. You can have equality of opportunity, but that's not what they're talking about in French socialism. And so the legacy of France is not liberty. The legacy of France is a socialist revolution. We can share our commonality with them. And I'm not just dumping on the entire French nation, but we have to understand that Emmanuel Macron comes from this duplicitous French side. Speaking about liberty on the one hand and equality, and then spinning them in a way that you don't get either. Or you do get equality. You get equality and poverty. Here's a good example of this. France shows what you actually get with democratic socialism. This is from FI.org. Strikes and blockades have spread across France as President Emmanuel Macron spends his time touring Europe with a new EU agenda. Yes, this guy is a Rothschild banker globalist. No doubt about it. But what is happening in his own country? This great French president is presiding over massive strikes on both regional and high-speed intercity lines, massive railroad strikes, even though they tried to institute a program where they would do some reforms that would only affect new employees. The trade unions, the socialists, are not having any of this. The union labor activists are upset about the liberalization of the rail market. Part of this is being imposed upon them by Brussels that Macron loves so much. There's something called a mobility pact coming next year, and it means that they're going to have to open up regional train travel to competition, and the French socialist unions don't like that at all. And so, and the train, the National Train Service is, of course, confronted, as B points out, with the fiscal burden of both massive debts and deficits, just like any other government-run operation. Massive debts and deficits. So the strikes of the public railway sector are paired more with equally intrusive strike actions on France's publicly held airline, Air France. So socialism, labor union, are essentially creating a transportation gridlock. You can't go anywhere by train or by air. Air France is one of the few airlines that connects the country by air. With almost all trains paralyzed, the behavior of Air France Union seems to be deliberately coordinated. Who would think? Being the second largest strike-friendly country in Europe, France had 125 days of strikes per 1,000 employees. Blocking the access of private companies that are merely trying to get people to work in the workplace is another thing altogether. But it's not just the people who are labor union employees. It's also the French students who are on strike, because they have a system that has been very much like what has been promoted by Bernie Sanders. Nobody pays to go to a French university. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to have good scores. It's open to anybody that wants to go. If you could squeak through the system and get some kind of a certificate, you're in. And any effort to try to make, to try to vet that for some sort of merit is anathema to socialists. And that's what they're talking about. So the French students are upset about this. Obviously, the French colleges are overcrowded. They get a stipend to go there. They get free, not only free tuition, but they also get money, and they also get housing subsidies. And it's getting overcrowded. And when the French government says we need to make sure that only people who have really achieved something before they go here can make a case, get in for this free ride, they say, oh, no, you don't. The idea is that you don't have any merit in socialism. And the key thing is to make everybody more equal, to make them equal and poor. And so this is the background as we look at this. We have to understand where this is coming from. I mean, there are people in France who don't like all of their money being taken away by income taxes. There are people in France who don't like the socialist system, but they are not in the minority, and they are not Emmanuel Macron. Nevertheless, when you look at what's going on, it's kind of interesting. We see Melania giving President Trump the cold shoulder as he's trying to hold hands with her. She's got a big, broad-brimmed hat, so he can't give her a kiss on the side of the cheek. But when you look at Emmanuel Macron, there's no cold shoulder there. I mean, the only thing awkward is that he's trying to knock the dandruff off of his shoulder. So I guess not cold shoulders, but head and shoulders is what Emmanuel Macron gets when he's there. When we come back, we're going to take a look at what Zero Hedge called the best bombing buddies. I guess we could call them BBBF, best bombing buddies forever. Yes, we're in this together. Let's go to war everywhere. Okay, we'll be right back. See what the new buddy, the new globalist buddy of President Trump had to say. We'll be right back. I'm David Knight. Welcome back as we look at what happened with the long meetings yesterday between President Trump and President Macron and their wives. As I said, it was looked very chilly, the response between President Trump and Melania, but not so much between President Trump and President Macron. As a matter of fact, it looked kind of embarrassingly awkward in the almost forced displays of affection that we saw there. But there were some real things that came out of this. Oil tumbled after Macron started talking about the Iranian situation, because this was something that President Trump came out. He started talking very tough about what was going to happen with Iran. And Macron said, well, no, what we need is a new Iranian deal. He said, we need to add 3 pillars to it. I think we can usefully add to it. So don't get rid of it. Let's add some other stuff to it. And in a knee-jerk response, points to Zero Hedge, oil tumbled by nearly $1. Suddenly, inflation is not looking all that certain to the stock market. And so that's one of the concrete things that came out of that. But let's take a look at a little bit of the special relationship, the beautiful friendship, the kisses back and forth, the bat packs, the back patting, and the dandruff brushing that went on between President Trump and President Macron. Here's a clip of that.
They're all saying what a great relationship we have, and they're actually correct. It's not fake news. Finally, it's not fake news. So it's a great honor that you're here. But we do have a very special relationship. In fact, I'll get that in a piece of dandruff book. We have to make him perfect. He is perfect. So it is really... it's really great to be with you, and you are a special friend. Thank you.
Thank you. The long handshakes there, the long handshakes. And of course, we got another clip here where you have the best bombing buddies forever, less than a minute highlights of all of the warm, special, beautiful friendship and kisses and so forth between President Trump and President Macron. Watch this. Kisses on the cheek. Not the only time that happens. Everybody holding hands. Yay. No more arm wrestling. Get that dandruff off of there. We're going to spruce him up for everybody. Some more kisses on the cheeks. That's why Melania is standing right next to him, kind of at a distance, but he's got his arm hugging Macron. Now they're embracing each other, patting each other's hands. The long handshakes now are not so much... not so much arm wrestling as they are, how are we going to manage this hug here? They go off walking hand in hand.
Over 20 years ago, Alex Jones created the media platform called Infowars, and in the decades since, it's grown into a truly remarkable institution with over 200 radio affiliates, tens of millions of unique website visitors monthly, and a 24/7 live news TV channel broadcasting from state-of-the-art studios in Austin, Texas. Infowars has become the most trusted independent news source in the country, dedicated to delivering breaking news, live coverage of special events, and exclusive reports you won't find anywhere else. While the old guard media struggles to maintain supremacy in a landscape rocked by innovation and technology, Infowars has been at the forefront of the information revolution. From 8 million radio listeners, over 2 million YouTube subscribers, or the billions of views of our online content, Infowars proves dominant in every facet of media we enter. For the hardest-hitting reports, uncompromising analysis, for high-profile interviews and bombshell revelations, accept no substitutes. Demand truth. Demand Infowars. Infowars. Tomorrow's news today.
Not just the number one story here in the U.S., it's the number one story right now in the world, which is crazy. And that's Kanye West, for a week plus, going after the thought police of Hollywood, the Democratic Party, mainstream media, academia. And the fact that he hasn't backed down under their onslaught has only made it a lot bigger. Our story is the number one story on DrudgeReport.com. And it is the most viral story right now of the top viral issue. Kanye West and his war against the thought police, his fight for free speech, which is only admirable. His wife tweeted support today and said, is it illegal in this country to have your own views? Now, why is it the number one story? Because Hollywood and the music industry and academia and the big corporations are so lockstep behind globalism, behind world government, behind being anti-free market and being anti-family, because that's what the globalists want, to control people, that Kanye West coming out and doing this is seismic, because he's probably in the top three, if not the top artist in the world. He certainly is the top artist year to year, in between him and Taylor Swift. You got the whole Kardashian thing into it. He's a bigger star with all he's done than even Taylor Swift. She's more multifaceted. And Taylor Swift's been non-political, and she's been demonized. So Kanye literally got thrown in a mental institution for 2 weeks for saying he supported Trump last year. He's back. He's standing up against him. He's been proven right. But here's the issue. I had one of the producers, Matt, he's a really smart guy, I'm trying to get him to do his own podcast, say, you and Kanye's mission is the same. And I said, well, I haven't followed it a lot. How do you say that? He goes, well, he wants to break people out of their programming. And you want to break people out of their conditioning, is the term you use. It's a more psychological term. That's what they call it. The globalists have conditioned us. Globalist conditioning. To be these scared people that have chips on our shoulders and are victims all the time. And white people are scared of black people, and black people are scared of white people, and women are scared of men, and vice versa. We're all, let's just stay in our houses and play video games all day. And that's the admitted globalist plan in the WikiLeaks and the other documents. So I'm saying break your conditioning. Think for yourself. Kanye's saying break your programming. Think for yourself. I'm saying my mission is to get you to break your programming and conditioning. Kanye West is saying the same thing. It doesn't mean we're plagiarizing each other. It's self-evident. How is America the fount of renaissance and wealth and free market and choices? Not perfect, but compared to other countries, been the best. How are we suddenly the bad guy that is guilty of everything? The communist China killed 80-something million of their own people in the last 50 years. Nobody even cares. And nobody living who's white ever had slaves. 79% of people came here from ancestors after slavery. After the Civil War. Sure, has there been bigoted stuff? Are people in clubs? Are people in their own little cool groups? Do people get in cliques? Absolutely. And Matt was making this other good point. He was saying racism is like a grudge. And yeah, grudges can be real. People got real issues. But the media exacerbating the grudges is like opening up an old wound to put salt in it, to basically prod you like a cow with a cattle prod, to herd you the way they want to go. And that's a fact. They read all these textbooks. And like I said, I keep going back to WikiLeaks because there was thousands of emails to Hillary and back and forth with top professors of psychology about, she's like, well, we're losing control. What do we do? This is 6 months before the election. And they're like, cultural war, intensify racial and religious divisions. And then you turn on CNN, you turn on MSNBC, you turn on a Hollywood movie. Like I saw The First Purge, pretty good movie. Haven't seen the newer ones. I read the screenplay for the new one coming out, The First Purge, and it's like the U.S. Army's the KKK, they wear white KKK uniforms, and they go kill black people in Chicago. And it'd be one thing if one movie was doing that. But Get Out, and just every new movie is about white people being scum that want to kill black people. I've known very few white people that are like that. got to be really mentally ill to want to put somebody else down so you can do better.